everyone. Welcome to this new episode of the Live Well Kitsap Thrive Podcast. I am your host, Leslie Doolin-Taylor. I'm the founder of Live Well Kitsap and the host of this podcast. We have an amazing guest today. I can't wait for you to get to know her and hear about what she does. It's really different and really special. So I would like to introduce to you Margaret Loveless.
Hi.
So thank you so much. I know you are busy. You're both a teacher and an energy healer, and you have a lot going on. So taking time out of your busy day really matters. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. So Margaret, I want to give you a official introduction so people can know who you are, where you've been, what you've done. So let's bust that out, shall we?
Okay.
Okay, you wrote it, so you know what's in it. Margaret has a degree in Middle Eastern history. I just got to learn something about you that I did not know. She taught English in Taiwan. Definitely want to hear more about that. Worked for a travel agency in Texas. Worked for a cruise line in San Francisco, and then got into banking. She moved to Bremerton, Washington after marrying and stayed home with your children. Good for you. And then started substitute teaching in the Bremerton School District. She is still a sub as well as an energy medicine healer in business for yourself, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And she is a certified practitioner in the emotion code, body code, and belief code by Dr. Bradley Nelson. I know just scratch the surface about any of this. And I'm guessing that some of our listeners don't know anything about this. So I'm really excited to pick your brain. Okay. So before we do that, we have a thing on the Live Well Kitsap Thrive podcast about wanting to know our members and our guests more deeply. So in order to know you more deeply, we have what I call random card questions.
Okay.
I promise not too scary. But the way this works is I'm going to fan out this little deck of cards here. Now, these aren't your typical, playing cards. These are question cards. And obviously, we're doing this so Margaret can't see them. And Margaret, I'm going to ask you to pick one. And then hand it to me. Oh, I know they're kind of like all bunched up together.
I'm trying to find the most hidden.
Okay. All right. Here is your question. Okay. There are no wrong answers. Here we go. What are you most proud of? What are you most proud of? It could be something personal. It could be something professional. If you had to just think about one thing, what are you most proud of?
Okay, well, the thing that comes to mind, because obviously there are a whole bunch.
Of course.
Is, I thought I was afraid of heights, but another practitioner that I had worked with said, no, it was more that I was afraid of falling. So for me,
that's an important distinction.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for me to have gone skydiving, that was like really, really overcoming a lot for me.
Wow. Okay. So now you brought up one of my favorite subjects. So give us the brief story. When did you go? Did you jump static line or tandem? Tell me your story.
So it was years ago in Utah,
okay,
way before I was married. While I was working at the university that I had graduated from.
Okay.
And I was at a party and I was talking to this one girl and we talked about things that we wanted to do before we died.
Ooh,
and it turned
so like
out,
a bucket list.
Yeah. So
conversation.
But this is way before anybody talked about bucket lists.
So that wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we decided, and that was something we both had talked about.
Oh, she wanted to do it too.
Yeah, so it was kind of a bonding thing.
Love this.
So we found this place in Utah, and it turned out that it was like the cheapest place in all of the United States.
Okay.
So
like you don't get the full parachute cheap,
no, it just was,
or it just was affordable to go skydiving.
It was affordable, yes.
Okay. Parachute intact.
So
Okay.
we talked about it, and I had taken this one particular day off from work because I had a date to do a whole day thing with this guy. He called me the night before and canceled.
Oh no.
And so I called her.
So wait, was this the friend or the instructor?
Oh no, sorry. This was a guy that I had been dating.
Oh, okay.
But this was a girl that I had met at the party.
Got it.
So I called her and I said, I've got the day off from work tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so we called that morning and and they had room for the two of us.
Okay.
And so we went and we did the all-day training.
Who needs the guy, right?
Yeah. It turned out really who needed him.
Right. Okay. One of those stories. That sounds like a whole other conversation.
So
okay. So the two of you go.
And we did the all-day practice.
Oh, I love this.
Getting in and out of the plane.
Yes.
Putting on the
gear.
The gear and stuff.
It's heavy.
Yes.
Do you remember? It's heavy.
Well, I think I put that part out of my mind. But
I remember it. It's like labor pains. Okay. Continue.
So so the plane went up, and I had went out by myself, but they did pull it. They opened it from the plane, so I didn't have to worry about pulling anything.
Okay, so I want to make sure I'm hearing this right. It was not a tandem jump. No. So you jumped static line, and
was that the term, static line?
My understanding, because I jumped static line.
Okay.
So is that and all I remember, this is what I remember, is a dog leash with like a, clip on the end that was connected to the airplane and connected to my chute. And then when I jumped solo, I just remember seeing stars. I think I might have blacked out. And then all of a sudden my chute opened and I was like a happy camper, like, woo, this is amazing. What do you remember about actually being up in the air?
So the same thing. I just totally blacked out. And then when it
High
opened,
five, Margaret.
when it opened, it was like jerking back to reality.
Yes, it does jerk you back to reality, which is great because when you're unconscious, you want something that's going to jerk you back into reality.
And then I remember thinking, I'm not going anywhere because you just
float.
Yeah, you just float,
and you don't realize at first that you're dropping while you're like floating.
Yeah. So where did you do it?
Oh my gosh. I was a freshman in college at Bowling Green State University in Ohio. I couldn't get anyone to go with me, not friends, not anyone that lived in my dorm. So I went by myself. And then we ended up jumping in a little town. I have no idea if it still exists, called Ada, Ohio.
Wow.
Ada, Ohio. It was just like fields. I'm not sure if there were any people that lived there or maybe like a farm or something. But that's where I jumped. Yeah. And so did you do it again after that, or were you one and done?
I was one and done. I think if I had done it right after that, I would have been okay. But then,
after that,
wait a while.
What have I done?
Yeah.
So for me, I made a bargain with God. I was like, God, if you just let me live through this experience, I promise I'll never do it again. And I kept my promise and he kept his promise. And here we go. All right, let's do this. We so much to talk about. Tell us a little bit about how you got into teaching. How did you go from like a banker to now I'm gonna, I've been in the travel industry, I've been in the banking industry. How did you get into teaching? And then how did you go from teaching into healing?
So it's kind of not a misnomer, but being a substitute, I don't have to have a teaching certificate.
So, okay, I'm learning so much. Who knew? So like that guy right there off the street, we can be you, sir. Would you like to go sub at the Bremerton School District tomorrow?
No, you have to have.
Oh, you have to have some kind of.
You have to have at least a bachelor's.
Well, that makes sense.
Except when
I feel better now for our children.
Okay. Well, when because I've substitute taught at different periods in my life when I was kind of in transition.
Yeah.
So when I had moved back to El Paso after Taiwan.
Okay.
I wasn't sure, where I was going, so I substitute taught in the El Paso School District.
Wow,
and in El Paso,
awesome.
you had to just have graduated from high school. Okay. I mean, this was a
Wow.
long time ago, so I'm sure they've
wow.
changed.
Okay.
And then in California,
It's like, do you have a pulse?
yeah.
You two can teach our children.
And then in California, after
Yeah.
I had my first child, and the only place we could afford to buy a house was like an hour away from San Francisco. So
Oh yeah, that's so expensive there.
I quit working in San Francisco in banking and then substituted until I figured out what I wanted to do
Okay.
and found another job in banking closer to home.
Okay.
And in California, I had to pass a test.
Okay.
And then up here,
That makes sense.
it was just as long as you had a degree.
Okay, so now you've shared about the teaching journey. Help us understand your journey going from teaching to healing. Give us that origin story. What happened along that path?
So I tell people I went away to college with one mother and I came back with another. It's the same woman,
Oh,
but she had started finding out about muscle testing
okay.
and just exposed our family to doing energy work, which
Wow.
was a long time ago
Okay.
before it became a big thing.
Yeah.
And so then
Oh,
at different
yeah.
points in my life, I would use different energy practitioners that she had.
Okay.
And then up here,
Amazing.
I I had called one of her practitioners and I just said, I'm so depressed, I can hardly move. And she said, I want you to go to the bookstore, just put your hand out in the self-help section and see what book calls you.
Wow.
So I found this one book called Remembering Wholeness.
Okay.
And then through that, I was exposed to Donna Eden energy. And so then I looked for a practitioner up here who did Donna Eden and found one in Paulsbo.
Okay.
And then, and at this point, everything kind of came together. My daughter had told me that she had been molested by her swimming instructor.
Oh,
and we tried talk therapy, but she wouldn't talk.
Yeah.
So she was.
That is just a horrific trauma.
Yeah. So she was like 9th grade, and it happened when she was in elementary school.
Okay.
So I took her, and then my son was starting into doing drugs. So I took him. And
so the whole family's getting energy healing.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
That's the great thing is you working with the energy, nobody has to verbalize anything.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing that, Margaret. And now we're going to move into one of my favorite segments of the podcast called Good Eats. We have a Good Eats section on the Well Kitsap site. So I thought it would be fun for people to maybe get some ideas of different foods they might try at home. And we also sometimes talk about like ingredients and what are the healthier things versus the maybe okay versus the like, oh, that's really bad, stay away from that. So in the Good Eats segment, you have a choice of a food you want to try here today. Isn't that fun? Okay, so it just so happens that I had time to make homemade muffins. They are you mentioned you don't have any allergies, right?
Oh, right.
So what I made today is gluten-free zucchini chocolate chip muffins.
Oh my gosh.
So, and they're little minis. So they're gluten-free, dairy-free. You're welcome to try those. Or I have yogurt that you can sample. And it's just completely up to you. If you're really hungry, you can do both.
Oh, that's okay.
But which one would you like to try?
The muffins.
The muffins. Okay.
So can I tell you, my daughter in Utah also does the belief code and the body code, but not to the extent that I do.
Okay.
And she had 2 little kids who were had gluten problems.
Oh.
So using the energy work, she cleared that.
Oh my. Okay, that's fascinating. Would love to know more about that. Okay, so Margaret, you've got your fancy napkin, you've got your gluten-free, dairy-free muffin. Have at it, and I'll be curious to know if you give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. They may actually even still be warm. I just made them before I got here.
No, it's
Nope.
lost the warmth. But
It's lost the warmth.
okay.
Thumbs up. So I let's see, what did I do here? I have a combination of flours. So there's some oat flour and just some general gluten-free flour. And the chocolate chips, as I mentioned, are non-dairy. And then I cut back on the sugar so that the sugar, the sweetness could come more from the chocolate chips. Okay. So would you make those or serve those to someone you like?
Yeah, definitely.
Yay. Okay. So Margaret, you mentioned the emotion code, the belief code, and the body code. That's a lot. Tell us briefly about each one and how are they different?
So the emotion code is strictly emotions.
Okay.
And the way it came about was Dr. Nelson is a chiropractor,
Oh,
and
okay.
he would, work on somebody, and then structurally they should be fine, but they'd be back next week with the same problem.
Okay.
So he was trying to go
He's
underneath.
like, what's going on?
Yeah. So he was like trying to figure out why it wasn't holding and going underneath, and he started studying traditional Chinese medicine and
Love that.
looking at the emotions that
Yep.
were setting off things. And so that was his
Yeah.
first program, the emotion code.
Okay.
And
then the body code.
yes. So the body code goes a little bit deeper. It deals with things that like toxins, because toxins
Oh.
throw off the body,
Yes, they do.
and systems in the body. And
Okay.
so
Oh my gosh, this is so fascinating.
So it's
Tell me more.
So, so that covers quite a bit. And then the belief code is the deepest of all, because it also incorporates the body code and the emotion code. But it's like, what are the beliefs that we have? So the kind of more superficial beliefs, it starts with up in the leaves and then goes down deeper into the trunk. Okay. And then it goes down into.
So is that like a tree metaphor?
Yeah, kind of metaphor thing. Okay. Huh? And then the deepest of all is the food feeding the trunk. So so they all tie in together.
That makes sense. So what comes to mind as a mental health professional is we all have beliefs. The problem is they're not all accurate.
Yeah.
Right? Because a lot of our beliefs are born out of the family of origin, what parents told us. I mean, there were kids, sadly, that were told things like, you're never going to amount to anything, which they've done studies and research of inmates in prisons. How many of you were told as a kid, you're never going to amount to anything? And like every hand has gone up. When you talk about belief code, are we talking these deeply held beliefs that people have not questioned to see if they're even accurate?
Because we don't think about it. Yeah,
right.
I mean, it just is.
It's part of our being, and we go on autopilot, and those beliefs are in the driver's seat, and that's what you get to.
Yeah.
Wow.
And some of those.
That's amazing.
So we talk about what the way you just said it, that we get it from whatever, but a lot of these things are also inherited. Like I called my sister because a lot of stuff was showing up in me.
Yeah.
From my grandfather's grandfather.
So the generational patterns emerge.
And so I said, what's his story? And she said, well, he fought in the Civil War, and then he went home to New Hampshire and then died by suicide.
Oh,
on his daughter's wedding day. So,
that's significant.
But what I thought was, because I got a lot of stuff that my sister didn't get.
Yeah.
And I'm
like, hey, we were in the same family.
Yeah.
Like we shared a womb at one point, right? Like we have the same origin in a sense. But yeah, different messages and different events affect us all differently.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk to us about someone is depressed, they're anxious, they have challenges in their relationships, they have trauma in their background. They come to you for energy healing. What can they expect? What does this look like?
So you want the process once they first get into
Okay. Like they first come to you, and what happens next?
Okay, so the first thing I do is check their assemblage point, and I do that through muscle testing.
What is that?
Okay, so the assemblage point.
Margaret, can we just hang here for 4 hours? I have
happily.
So many questions.
So
okay, so what is that?
The assemblage point is, it's the energy kind of portal between the universe and the spirit coming into the physical body.
Okay.
And this is the part, okay, I'm going to tell you the part that makes me cry. When we're born.
It's okay, I have Kleenex.
Okay, the assemblage point is down at our belly button.
Okay.
And then it rises up to our heart chakra.
Okay.
And it's out here.
Okay. And
then just as we're about to die, this is what makes me cry. It goes back down to our belly button. So like full circle. Yeah.
So that expression, like the circle of life, I feel like is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Okay, so someone comes to you, what happens next?
Okay, so I make sure that the assemblage point is where it's supposed to be, because it can be thrown off.
Mm-hmm.
Emotions, you lose a job, you get hurt really badly.
Yeah.
It gets moved to the side. So my thing is to make sure that the assemblage point is where it's supposed to be.
Okay.
There are no fractures, and that it's functioning the way it's supposed to.
Okay.
And then after that, I make sure that I have to look this down. The Chinese 5 elements, which are, the water, fire, earth, metal, and wood, are all where they're supposed to be and functioning. And then after that, I can pretty much know.
So if I'm your client,
yes.
Am I just sitting still and you're doing your thing?
Yes.
Okay. Because I want people to know when they come to you. I mean, some people are like freaked out by energy work. It's like this term that they've heard, but they're like, am I sitting naked? Like, what is this? Like, what's going to happen to me? And I think it's important to be able to explain and educate so people can know, here's what you can expect. So you're not putting them in a vice grip. You're not having them take their clothes off. They just get to hang out and sit and relax while you're doing your thing. Okay.
So that would look like, excuse me, that they're just sitting there. But afterwards, they're like, oh my gosh, because I'm like, you have worked hard, even though you think you're just sitting in the chair.
Wow.
But that does bring up, I have people, there's different ways of doing muscle testing. And muscle testing is simply asking the body questions, getting a response.
Okay.
I have people first stand up and do the sway test.
Okay.
So that they can see that when I'm muscle testing them, I'm definitely getting an answer.
Right.
And then I do the assemblage point, and I do the 5 Chinese elements.
Okay.
Then we sit down and they tell me what it is they would like to work on.
Okay. I was wondering if you sort of intuitively know, or you're asking them questions and they're saying, here's what's going on for me.
I ask them to give me a couple of choices.
Okay. And
then I muscle test to see which one their body wants. And sometimes it is.
That's amazing.
It is fine tuning. Like if I said to you, how are you? I'd get one answer. I'd say, how was your morning? I'd get a different answer.
True.
So just changing one word in a statement when we do the muscle testing. Yeah. So we have to find the correct wording. And your subconscious doesn't hear the words, it hears the frequency. Because our bodies are energy, our thoughts are energy.
Yes.
So it's hearing the frequency. So we have to have the wording just correctly.
That's amazing.
And then they just sit there.
So you brought this guy. Tell us which, I'm gonna hold this up. Is it intentionally looking like a heart that's a little off?
No, because I can use anything. When I work on myself, I just use my hand.
Okay, so will you demonstrate like what may happen in a session with you using that?
Okay.
What does it look like, and what are you doing?
Okay, so when I ask the subconscious a question, it brings it up. Okay. And then we in Chinese, I don't know, in Chinese medicine or healing, we call this the governing meridian.
Okay.
So we have all these meridians in our body.
We do.
All the meridians flow into the governing meridian.
Okay.
which in Western medicine is the central, what do we call it?
Central nervous system.
Central nervous system.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yep.
So we bring it up, and then using this,
Okay.
all I do is erase the belief or the emotion, and depending on the body tells me how many times to do this to erase it.
This is amazing. This is amazing. So Margaret, what I'm hearing that you do sounds absolutely amazing. And I wasn't kidding about wish I had another 3 hours with you.
Thanks.
With that said, tell us an example, a story of someone who came to you. What did they have happening in their world that they needed healing from? What specifically did you do, and what was their outcome?
Okay, I know you said just one, but I can't.
And I know just one. We only have time for one.
Okay, well, there was one lady who came because she had, and again, she had read the book, so she kind of knew what to ask.
Kind of knew what was happening.
Yeah. So she said, that she had a pain in her left hip. Okay. And then that's what we worked on. And of course, there are emotions and thoughts and beliefs that go into that.
Right.
She texted me like a week later. She said, it's totally gone and has not come back. Then I worked on somebody who had been raped several times as a child. And she texted me and she said, I have to tell you, my husband said, we went to the restaurant and she said, he said, do you realize this is the first time that you have sat with your back
like
to the rest
door?
Of the restaurant. Yeah, to the door.
Yeah.
He goes, because you were so hypervigilant before, you had to be watching everything.
That's huge.
And then working with the girl with autism.
Huge. And you've helped someone with autism.
Yeah, and because the brain doesn't know it's autism, it just knows something's going on in the brain.
Sure.
And she said her biggest thing was that she always felt stupid because she couldn't read the room and stuff. And she said, and that's what we worked on. I feel stupid. And then it's just, she goes, I just feel so much calmer being with people.
That is fantastic. So something I will share with you briefly that I didn't share with you when we met recently. And that is, I've had a couple of people who have come to you and they have shared with me how beneficial it was to work with you. So I wanted to give you that feedback because all that happened in the last month. I've had 2 people through Well Kitsap that found you that basically came to you for your services and experienced the healing work that you do. Okay.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I wanted you to know that. We are on to our segment called What is Your Next Move? What is your next move? Could be personally, what's next for you? Professionally, what's next for you? It could be something big and great. It could be something small, something you're doing different, something you're looking forward to. What is your next move?
It's being able to let go of the subbing and realizing that this is what I really want to do. Yeah. So I'm financially we're okay. Because before it was like, oh my gosh, I have to have the money. But then,
which was a belief.
Yeah, was a belief. And then also whatever frequency we are at, that's what we attract into our life.
100%.
So I have been working on the frequency of we're all financially okay and I can do that, which I love. Yeah. I mean, I love subbing.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm at a point now where this is more of a priority.
I could see that because the work you're doing is amazing. And look, there's a lot of people out there that can benefit from this, right? There's so many people that are holding on to depression, depressive thoughts, depressive behaviors, anxiety, relationship difficulties. You've mentioned so many traumatic events here that for the people, being molested, being raped, I mean, horrific things that happen to people that you're able to help them with. That is exciting. That is amazing.
But I want to jump in. We talk about, trauma. But
sure.
A lot of times I'll read something online like what healthy people should look like. And I was reading this one thing, 8 habits of level-headed people.
Okay.
And one of them is someone who's able to separate facts from emotion.
Yeah.
So I've been muscle testing and I mean, that's not trauma. and I
Right.
wouldn't have thought about it,
Sure.
but I've been clearing that on me.
So like a different application entirely.
Yeah.
It's like there's no limit really to
Yeah.
how these methods can help people. Okay. So Margaret, as we close out our time here together today, can you think of just one small thing that can help move the needle for people in their healing journey, in their health work? What would just one little nugget of advice that you have for people based on what you know, based on the healing work you do? What would just one small thing be that you would encourage people to think about differently?
Oh. Okay, I'm not sure. Your mind lies to you.
Yeah, exactly. Your mind lies to you. So my training as a brain health coach was don't believe every stinking thought, right? That we need to question our thoughts for accuracy.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Because this one class that I'd gone to, it said to ask, is this true?
Exactly.
How do I know it's true?
Yep. So that's interesting because I wonder what the class was that you went to, because I use a similar tool with some of my clients, right? Is my thought true? Can I know with 100% certainty that my thought is true, right?
Okay.
Very similar. And then it goes on to, when I think this negative or bad or worrisome thought, what do I notice I feel? And if I didn't have this thought, how would I likely feel?
Oh.
So I feel like there's a little, crossover in some of what we do.
Yeah.
Margaret, I cannot thank you enough for taking time out of your day to be here. I've learned so much. I'm guessing our audience has learned so much. Thank you so very much for being here.
Thank you. It was fun.
So Margaret, we know you have a promotional page on the Live Well Kitsap site. You are in the Mind Your Health with other healthcare practitioners. And where else can people find you?
Right now, my Facebook business page.
Okay.
And my website is going to be up and running soon.
Okay.
Hopefully.
I know you had a website and it's getting a major overhaul.
Right.
Which is great. So in the description, we'll make sure to put your social handles in there.
Okay.
And then certainly let us know when your website is up and running. In the meanwhile, people can find you at livewellkitsap.com/mind your health. And Margaret, do people have to be present with you in order for you to help them?
No. So I should have mentioned, when people come to me, I join with their energy.
Okay.
When they're sitting there in the room. Energy is energy. So yes, I'm in their energy. When they're in my room, I'm also in their energy anywhere else in the world.
Okay, so you can work with people anywhere in the US or even internationally.
Right.
That is absolutely incredible. Thank you again. Thank you to the Lisa Starrett Creative Warrior Studio, where we record these episodes. We're so thankful and so grateful that we get to be in this beautiful place. If you are in the Kitsap area, we encourage you, stop by anytime. The Lisa Starrett Creative Warrior Studio is right on Silverdale Way. You can purchase art, you can make art. There's a fantastic Holy Grounds coffee company where you can get a lovely latte or a beautiful cup of tea. And the people that work here are absolutely incredible. That's all we have for this episode. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Tell your friends, your family, your clients, your coworkers, so we can be a bright spot in their day. Thank you so much for joining us. And our signature sign off: life is short, live it well so you can thrive.